Hello all and welcome to another episode with me. And today we're going to be talking about the recent changes and what you can and can't do for 212 on a motorized bike. So as you can see here, I've put on a couple of 19-inch motorcycle rims laced to a ghetto bike front hub, as you can see here, with the double disc front brakes and the ghetto bike front forks. I have the Predator 212, of course, and then I have the hub from my old setup. It is the mountain bike Rebel back hub with the disc mount for the sprocket. I ended up getting a 46 tooth. I have a separate video on how to, or what you need for lacing a back wheel to make one of these for yourself. These are actually motorcycle tires as well. So the chain's not quite lined up yet. Well, the chain's lined up, but it's not sized. I need a half link in order to make it work, so it's just kind of sitting. So the reason I did this setup the way that I did, so I have the Go Power Sports back plate and then one of the driven units and driver units. I have 3 of these for spare parts, and I have 2 of these for spare parts, and I have extra springs. Always good to have spares on hand. So what this is it's the chain. Got the sprocket back here for the 420 chain, and then this is a Sick Bike Parts jack shaft kit that I bought, and I just used the plate with the 6-inch shaft, the 17 tooth sprocket, and I believe this is an 11 tooth. And I took this, I used a spacer, the lock collar, another spacer, actually one of the keyed washers from, actually one of these actually. So I used the key washer from one of the TAV kits, the TAV 11 tooth sprocket, and then a lock collar, and I believe there's a washer, there's a small spacer in there, you can't really see it, and then obviously the bearings here, and then on the other side to kind of lock it in, I used another sprocket with the keyway and the Allens to tighten it down, so that way there's no chance of it coming back out to the left. And the motor, when it turns this, it should tension the top of this, pulling it forward, and then when it drives the tire, it should tension the top of this chain, which will pull it backwards. So I believe it'll be almost equal, so it won't yank it too far forward or backwards. But these clamps are pretty nice, and I believe it's going to hold it on there pretty tight. I mean, I can hammer it. I was trying to hammer these bearings in with this tight, and this whole plate wasn't moving even when I was hammering it. To get this in, you can use a puller with 2 claws to grip on the ends, and like a washer or something to keep it from damaging the bearing, and like press it in. What I ended up doing was that, and at first I put this in the oven, heated it up to 500 degrees, and then put the bearings in the freezer, and I used a pair of pliers to kind of like, so I didn't have to touch it, but get it in most of the way, and then I used the puller to get it in the rest of the way. Because they fit, that is a very tight fit, so you're not just going to pop it in with your hands. So once you get them in, they're going to be a little hard to come out. The ghetto bike exhaust, with the way I have my mount set up, the exhaust didn't quite work. I had to go to actually a fabrication company here in Korea. I don't even know what it was called, Jaipo Industries or something. And they bent this 20 degrees for me because it was hitting here, which is why it's bent here, because I was trying to make it flat to fit, but it just wasn't working. So I ended up getting the pipe bent 20 degrees, and it fits. Fuel line, I got a 90-degree bend on this for the Petcock, and it comes all the way around. And I still got to sort something out so it doesn't lay on the threads of this and focus. Lay on the threads of that and then, you know, cut through. Still waiting on a valve cover. The King's Motorsports valve cover. You can also find them on eBay. They're like 80cc chamber or something. I don't know. I can post a link in the description for that. And it should have the clearance, because the stock valve cover will not clear it with this Petcock. It'll just barely clear it, and it'll like touch down here just barely. For crankcase ventilation, because the new valve cover is not going to have crankcase ventilation, I have the ARC valve side cover, and it comes with 2 slots or 2 holes threaded 1/8 NPT with, and I got a 1/8 NPT to 1/4 inch barbed end, and I just put this in there, and I got that filter, and I got it screwed into the one of the holes that was already in here. So there was a hole and it was already threaded, and I ended up just doing a little bit of filing, and it got it to work, and I tightened it down so it's not going anywhere. And the kill switch as well. Got the kill switch for the motor and the kill switch for the throttle too, just in case. The spark plug, the way I have it set up is the original spark plug lead. It would have hit if the engine was slightly over to the left, but because of the way I positioned it, I have just a little bit of clearance, so I didn't actually have to get a new plug wire or anything like that. So you're probably wondering if the hub, so the way the hub in the back, because as you can see I have it in 4th gear, the way the hub in the back, it's not quite wide enough. So I had, when I laced this wheel, I had to lace it and set it so that way it sits to the right more so than to the left, to give it clearance for the drive chain, because that chain can't bend. The bicycle chain can bend, so what I'm going to have to do is take this, move it to the right almost all the way, so that way I can get it, because as you can see in 4th gear, I'm pretty close to the tire. The drive chain on the side, over there, on this side, clears the tire not by much, maybe by about 1/4 inch. So in this, when it's in 1st gear, it rubs really bad. But I'm not really planning on pedaling this thing all too much, so it doesn't really matter. But if you do want to pedal it and you have one of these bottom brackets, you're going to have to get the wider one. It's from Sick Bike Parts as well. I got the Freehub bottom bracket. It allows me to move this in and out, which is really nice because it's flexible enough to where I can make it work for my applications. And you can also change these chain rings pretty easily too. You just pop this off and you can have a bigger chain ring, smaller chain ring, or whatever it is. So that way you're not having to, if you do have to pedal, it's not too terribly difficult. Pedaling, even if it's just a little bit faster than walking, it's still better than walking. That mount is from Groovy.net. That's actually their jackshaft kit mount that I had to drill and make it work. So that's the mount that worked for me. Your frame may be different, so different mount may be good for you. Ghetto Bike also makes a vertical mount for these engines, but I'm just trying to use what I have. So that's what I like to do, is I like to use what I have to make it work, and it ends up making something quite different than I've seen a lot of different stuff on the forum pages and on the Facebook groups, but I've never seen anything quite like mine, and I'm sure other people can say the same about their builds as well. Just a standard double bottom kickstand. Pedals are from Amazon. The crank set is actually, the crank arms, I believe, came with the jackshaft kit on Groovy.net as well. And you can buy the offset crank arms, and they'll have their own little sprocket attached to them, like on Amazon. I think they're like painted black, if they still make them. I bought it like last year. But so it doesn't really allow any flexibility in terms of where the chainring is where the chainring is. So that's the bike. Leave any questions in the comments, and I'll respond when I can, and I'll post links in the description for all the parts that I can think of and all the parts that I can find that are still available. Thank you. Have a nice day.